Yes. Right.
That's the same, it's the same.
Okay, everyone, please rise for the pledge.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first up are the Irvington Police Department commendations. I also wanted to make a note that it actually, it's probably ended, but it was National Police Week and we had and I think we still do have the Village Hall lit up in honor of that. So thank you all for the service you do. Chief, how would you like to proceed?
Just before we begin with the awards, I just want to take a moment to thank all of our officers for their dedication, professionalism, and service over the past year. The work you do, often under difficult and high-pressure circumstances, is vital to the safety and well-being of our community, and it doesn't go unnoticed. While tonight we're going to highlight some exceptional accomplishment by some, it's also important to recognize the overall efforts of the department. Over the past year in 2024, the department handled 5,718 calls for service. It made over 30 custodial arrests. Officers responded to 145 motor vehicle accidents and issued 823 uniform traffic tickets. 270 medical aided calls and responded to over 98 other welfare checks. Assisted at 126 fire calls and responded to 450 activated alarms. Officers answered 337 emergency 911 calls for service. And community engagement remained a priority with 329 foot patrols conducted throughout the village, along with daily school walkthroughs. While managing these responsibilities, both the department and the PBA remained actively involved in the community, participating in events such as the Senior Breakfast, Bulldog Day, Touch a Truck, World Read Aloud Day, Operation Blue Santa, Cocoa and Coffee with a Cop, CAB, and much more. This balance of professionalism, service, and community connections reflects the heart of our mission, and I want to thank you each for your continued commitment. With that in mind, I'd like to take a moment to recognize a few individuals whose actions over the past year went above and beyond the department. This award reflects not only the outstanding performance, but also the dedication, courage, and service that defines our profession. It's an honor to present this recognition to the following officers: Lieutenant Michael Morano, Sergeant Pete Warnicki, Detective Sergeant Matthew Eckert, Police Officer Scott Dunleavy, Police Officer Anthony DiNardo. The incident was June 20th, 2024. On that date, the Ardsley Police Department issued a hotline alert regarding an armed robbery that had just occurred at the Chase Bank in their jurisdiction. During the violent robbery, a handgun was displayed. The suspect, described as a male, fled the scene on foot toward a nearby park, which was heavily populated at the time. Officers from multiple jurisdictions, including members of the Irvington Police Department that are standing in front of you, along with several other agencies and federal agencies, responded to assist securing the area and initiating a search for the suspect. After the scene was cleared and declared safe, Irvington police officers returned to the village. Shortly thereafter, detectives on the scene viewed video surveillance, which revealed that the male suspect, along with a female, had fled the area in a vehicle. A detailed description of the vehicle, including license plate, was broadcasted via the hotline. The vehicle plate was picked up by a license plate reader system in another village, and the vehicle was heading toward Irvington. The vehicle was then observed by Detective Sergeant Eckert and stopped by him, Lieutenant Morano, and myself. It was quickly determined during the stop that the vehicle was a hired ride service. The driver, being cooperative with the investigation, informed us that she just dropped off two individuals matching the description of our suspects at the Dobbs Ferry train station. As additional police units of nearly 20 arrived at the traffic stop, which momentarily shut down South Broadway near Harriman Road, a coordinated response to the Dobbs Ferry train station was initiated. Having the local understanding that train stations in the region are often confused due to their close proximity, Irvington officers were directed to respond to the Irvington and Ardsley on the Hudson train station. It was at the Ardsley on the Hudson train station that P.O. Dunleavy identified two individuals matching the description of the suspects on the southbound platform. With the southbound train coming fast, P.O. Dunleavy alone needed to act quick and made contact with the pair as they waited on the platform. Additional Irvington officers responded swiftly and worked as a coordinated team to take both suspects into custody without incident. The suspects were then turned over to FBI on the scene. Further investigation led to the recovery of a weapon, the stolen money in a wooded area near the bank. It was also determined that the male suspect was one in connection to an armed home invasion in a neighboring jurisdiction, as well as multiple other armed robberies in various states. Further actions on this day demonstrating intelligent, decisive, coordinated police work under conditions that involve personal risk. It's my honor to award Lieutenant Morano, Detective Sergeant Eckert, Sergeant Warnicki, Police Officer Dunleavy, and Police Officer Donato with this commendation for their exceptional service in the line of duty. Just there's the final list for everything.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. That's the end of the
I want to thank all of you for what you've done. Not only this particular incident, but what you do on a day-to-day basis. Also recognize you couldn't do what you do without, I assume these are family members here present, some of them more vocal than others. And thank all of you as well. Congratulations, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry if we kept you
Thank
waiting.
you. Thank you. Come on, meeting. No.
Is it Is one of the people with the J?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
But at this point, I assume that now, you know what I mean, on a day like this, it's like,
all right, here we go. Announcements. First up, the school budget vote and Board of Education trustee election is tomorrow from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. So please vote. Memorial Day ceremonies will be Monday, May 26th at 10 a.m. at Main Street Memorials. The Bulldog Art and Food Festival will be Sunday, June 8th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Main Street. And for those of you dropping people off, students off at the middle school or the high school campus, there have been traffic changes effective May 13th. So don't use Heritage Road or Field Point. Follow their instructions, which have been distributed. And I think they are attached as part of our agenda. No correspondence, I guess. So we will go right to public comment. If anybody wants to make a comment, I take that as a no. Consent agenda. I have, actually, we have a minor modification. I don't know if you want to read it or just a change in the description of an interaction.
Yeah, so it was during the public comment section, the minutes said that Rick Rizzullo spoke about the Adele Warnock Award having not been awarded and proceeded to resign. That's essentially what the sentence said. And I think to clean that up, it almost sounds like he resigned because he didn't get the Warnock Award, which is clearly not what his point was. So we made a little modification to say that Rick Rizzullo spoke about the Adele Warnock Award not having been given to any volunteer since 2012, period. And then he also expressed concerns about the direction of certain village committees and proceeded to resign. And the rest of the sentence.
Got it.
That's really all, it's just to separate it out a little bit.
So with those with that change, I will make a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The resolution in support of the establishment of the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad, New York Scenic Byway. And we have confirmed, let's see. Actually using the bookmark. You'll appreciate that, Larry. Thankfully, my children are not here to embarrass me over that. This in particular, is a scenic byway that will run, throughout Westchester. I think there's a particular route, but the one thing that we confirmed was that, it would not impact, our signage at the top of Main Street because they do have certain restrictions on it. I am not gonna try to read this entire thing, but
You can read the resolve.
yeah, that's exactly where I was gonna go, yeah. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village of Irvington supports the designation of the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad, New York Scenic Byway, which includes programs for stewardship and enhancement of the historic scenic byway and guidance to manage future activities along this corridor. And be it further resolved that the Village of Irvington confirms that they will abide by and follow all existing New York State and federal laws and regulations that are applicable to this resolution. And be it further resolved, the Village of Irvington will work in partnership with the other municipalities along the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad, New York Scenic Byway, and local and regional stakeholders in order to support future byway programs, economic development, and marketing, and collaborate with these interested entities to explore opportunities for cooperation to realize the scenic byway goals. So that is my motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Renewal of an agreement with the Irvington Volunteer Ambulance Corps. This is essentially the same agreement, except I think we've got a small minor, I won't say it's minor, a modification in the pricing. Am I remembering correctly?
Yes,
Okay,
that's correct.
wanna-
I think it was about $4,800 increase that was done during the budget process.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? No, okay, then, gotcha. I move that, as follows, resolve to approve an agreement with the Irvington Volunteer Ambulance Corps for the provision of ambulance services to the Village of Irvington for the term June 1, 2025 through May 31, 2026, in an amount not to exceed $124,800, and further resolve to authorize the village administrator to execute said agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Award of contract for Matheson Park Stage Electrical Project. This is the prep work for the stage. And it actually is probably something, it reduces, I think, the long-term cost by doing some of the work in-house, organizing the work. No?
No, not so much doing it in-house, but separating it out from the main contract so that there's no general contractor fees.
Got it.
So,
All right, so we'll save,
It turns out the
theoretically,
same-
we will save what would the general contractor charge?
Right, and it turns out the same contractor got both contracts,
Oh, all
which is
right.
fine, but that's.
Yeah.
That's,
I got it. Anyone have any questions? Okay, then my motion is, whereas 4 bids were received for contract 2025-21 for the Matheson Park Stage Electrical Project as follows. J.C. Land Site Development, $251,835. Pacific Trans Global Construction Corporation, $270,700. D&M Electrical Contracting, Inc., $328,982. Delta Electric, Inc., $407,884. Whereas the village administrator reviewed the bids submitted and determined that the lowest bidder is responsive to the specifications, and resolved to award a contract for the Matheson Park Stage Electrical Project in the amount of $251,835 to J.C. Land and Site Development, Inc., and to authorize the village administrator to execute said contract. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next one is an authorization to approve change order number one for Harriman Road, US Route 9 culvert project. I noticed they've really started to work on it today, since the traffic is changing, as I try to get home. I'm always happy to take a credit, but what happened to precipitate this?
When the low bid came in, it was higher than what the village's budget was. What we did, we went directly to the contractor having analyzed it very closely, as well as our engineers. The contractor actually proposed a few things that could be done differently that could save money. And so, those things got negotiated back and forth, and that's the net result.
Great,
So
sounds great.
it's the way the process should work.
Got it. Okay, if there are no further questions, the motion is resolved to approve change order number one with Bradhurst Site Construction Corp. in the amount of $370,530 as a credit for the Harriman Road US Route 9 culvert project and to authorize the village administrator to execute said change order. Do I have a second? Second. All in favor? Okay. Approval of the sustainability director contract. I will note that Charlotte her work has been very effective, and I think it's had a very positive impact. I think this is there's an increase built in over the prior year.
$5,000.
$5,000, thank you. Any questions? Okay. Motion is resolved to approve the contract with Charlotte Binns as the Sustainability Director for the term June 1, 2025 to May 31, 2026 at a rate of $70 per hour for up to $1,000 annually. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of contracts with AI Computer Services. This is because both the village and the police, it is the same, basically the same contract as last year, but I assume there was a price change in this?
There were changes in price, very modest, but also confirming the inventory of the devices that we have. If there's a couple more Cs, those get included in there. It's done on a per unit basis.
Okay. If there are no questions, the motion is resolved to authorize the village administrator to execute agreements with A1 Computer Services, Inc. for computer support services for the village of Irvington and for the Irvington Police Department for an annual payment fee of $66,538.20. Do I have a second?
Second.
Stay with me, people. All in favor?
Aye.
I know there's been a long meeting, not this one, but the one before. Okay. Renewal of intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County for employee assistance services. Again, this is something we've done before, so this is not exactly a renewal, but it's the same form of agreement. Did the dollars change on this one?
No, the dollars didn't
Okay.
change.
Oh, that's an easy. If there are no questions,
It's a pretty significant extension. The first one was
It was less than a year,
less than
yeah.
a year. This was the very first year we were in the program, and now it's an extension until 2029.
got it. Good. Okay.
The intention is staying in there.
Motion is resolved to approve the intermunicipal agreement with Westchester County for employee assistance program services for the period March 10, 2025 through December 31, 2029, and to authorize the village administrator to execute said agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approval of permit hold harmless agreement with the County of Westchester. They would like to the County of Westchester wants to use our town hall to hold a hearing on the Con Ed rate, proposed rate. And this was a condition of our letting them use it. Is that?
No, I think they actually,
Oh,
they
they
actually
offered it.
requested this.
oh.
Yeah.
This is in our favor. That's fine. I'm not gonna.
Wait, but are they paying for it?
They're not. No, we discussed it with the mayor and with Greg Allen. We felt that it was a significant enough benefit to the community to have a Con Ed rate hearing held right here. It was an open night anyway in the theater.
Yeah.
And, but it was a benefit to our local residents who may otherwise not go to these types of things if they're interested.
So we'll put out the word on the date. I think it's June. Is it June?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure we'll publicize.
Yeah.
You can't blame me. I'm always looking for the theater, you know.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
funny.
fine. Greg was involved in the discussion. He did ask me about the charging and, you know, again, if we turned around and said we were charging and they said, no, we'll do it somewhere else, I felt that was.
And we also asked them what kind of staffing they'd require, and it was
Yeah.
pretty minimal because I think they're bringing some of their own people to
Yeah,
help
they're taking care of
manage it.
most of that. I think we have one tech person that's gonna be on duty that is fairly nominal.
It's not gonna come out of the theater's budget, though, is it? It'll come out of our budget or?
Whatever, wherever it has to be charged. Greg knows that it's a village.
Okay.
event.
Oh,
Okay,
Hey, I do my thing.
you're doing it well. All right, by the way, all the pockets are the same.
It's not the point, though. It's not. It is, of course, but that's not the way things are judged down the line.
I
so-
get it. Okay, so the motion is resolved to approve a permit hold harmless agreement with the County of Westchester for the rental of the Irvington Town Hall Theater and to authorize the village administrator to execute said agreement. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right, resignations from volunteer boards. Okay, so, we have Michael Smith from RPAC, Sarah Kelsey from the Ethics Board, and Rick Rizzullo, from RPAC, the Architecture Review Board, the Irvington Woods Committee, and the Rocktoberfest Committee, and the Land Use Streamlining Committee. Let me start with Rick, just to say thank you very much. Just that litany of all of the committees that he was on, is a reflection of the amount of effort that he's put in over the years, and I do appreciate that, and I hope he at some point will return, in some capacity. And Sarah Kelsey, thank you very much for serving on the Ethics Board. And Michael Smith also has been a long time RPAC committee member and a very effective one. And I appreciate everything he's done, but I know he's going off to run another local organization. So I can understand why he's making this particular decision. So the motion is resolved to accept with regret the resignation of Michael Smith as a member of the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee effective June 1, 2025. Resolved to accept with regret the resignation of Sarah Kelsey as a member of the Ethics Board effective May 19th, 2025. And further resolved to accept with regret the resignations of Rocco Rizzullo as chair of the Architectural Review Board, as chair of the Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee, member of the Irvington Woods Committee, member of the Rocktoberfest Committee, and a member of the Land Use Streamlining Committee effective May 6, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
That was a surprise.
I was trying to avoid any jokes.
Okay, well, you did it. Okay, and obviously with these resignations, for anybody who's listening out there, we're looking for members. Yeah, there'll be a mayor's letter coming out shortly that will tell you exactly how you can put your hat in the ring if you choose to. We'd be very interested in finding folks for these particular committees and for others. Okay, next up is volunteer appointments. One is, well, the resolution is, the motion is resolved to appoint the following Village Board Volunteer Committee members. Architectural Review Board Chair Randy Huff, 2028. And Recreation and Parks Advisory Committee Chair Matthew Spencer, 2027. Before I ask people to second and make a motion, I just want to point out that usually on appointments to committees, we wait a period of time to see how many people are going to respond. These people are already on the committees and they are simply being elevated as chair because the committees presently have no chair. So there will be, as I said earlier, a call for members for both of these particular committees. So having said all that, that was excluding my commentary, that was the motion. Do I have a second on this one?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, salary modifications. These are, non-union salary modifications. And usually, Larry, if I'm not mistaken, these are in effect matching what was given to what's in the union contract.
They are, yes.
Okay.
The 3.5% was the settlement on both the CSEA and the police.
All right. Don't know that I'm gonna read this entire list, but you resolve to modify the annual salaries and hourly rates effective from the date shown below, effective June 1, 2025. And this lists everyone who is a paid employee who is not a union employee, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And I think it's full-time and part-time, and it went up, you said 3.5%?
Yes.
Okay. Do I have a second to that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Authorization to include unpaid water rents and penalties in the 2025 annual tax levy. So, Katie, do you want to give just a very short version of what we're doing here, just for the benefit of anybody who may view this meeting or anybody who's in attendance?
Yes, so any unpaid water bills as a fiscal year end get rolled onto the tax levy. So the unpaid water amount will appear on their tax bill.
If there are no questions, my motion is whereas certain customer accounts of the Irvington Water Department currently have unpaid water rents and penalties, and whereas Village Law 111118 provides for the inclusion of unpaid water rents and penalties in the annual tax levy, now therefore be it resolved to authorize the village clerk treasurer to include the following unpaid water rent and penalties on the 2025-26 annual tax levy totaling $13,472.30 as follows, and then there's a listing of all the names that add up to names, addresses, and amounts that are due that add up to the $13,472.30. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one is approval of the tax warrant. And this really sort of lays out the category. Actually, let me not do this. I'll let you do this since you're the expert. I could do it, but I'm not going to.
So it lays out the various categories in our adopted budget. So
The tax amount included in the adopted budget is this net tax levy amount of the
17,371,605. And then added to that, exemptions removed are
usually due to ownership changes. If someone had a certain exemption, sold the house during the year, and then the new owner didn't qualify for that exemption, it gets prorated and billed back to them. And then the water arrears is the resolution that just got adopted to include those on the tax bill, which results in the net collection warrant, which is the total amount of taxes that are being billed.
Okay. Let's see here. So the motion is resolved, Board of Trustees approves the 2025-26 tax warrant and authorizes the mayor to execute said warrant and deliver same to the tax collector. And it is in fact a memo from me to Katie Bugna, who's our tax collector. You are hereby commanded to receive and collect from the several persons named in the assessment roll-up file in the village clerk treasurer's office and previously made available to me several sums named in the last column thereof opposite their respective names for the following purposes. And this goes through the categories of expenditures, general government support, public safety, health, transportation, and so on, totaling expenditures of $18,126, less anticipated revenues of $5,285,488, less appropriated fund balance of $361,033, so that the net tax levy is $17,371,605. There are certain exemptions that are removed in the water arrears that we discussed, resulting in a net collection warrant of $17,389,612.60. I'm gonna summarize the rest of it because you all have this available, but upon delivery of the roll and warrant to you, you will publish in an official newspaper notice that the roll have been left with you. The roll has been, tax roll and warrant has been left with you for collection of taxes therein levied. And you'll designate our village offices as a place where they can be paid from June 1 to June 30th. And then it talks about penalties if the taxes are unpaid by a certain period of time. And it talks about the second installment of taxes, which would be 6 months later. I think that should be sufficient. That is the motion. Do I have a second for the tax warrant? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Which brings us to reports of board, standing committees and officers. Take it away.
Just to add into the note about for the school board, I know you mentioned that there's the election going on, just to be more specific, the Main Street School is the location of the gymnasium.
Thank
And that is, you were correct, 7 to 9 p.m. They're approving the budget, the use of the capital fund, and there's also a trustee election. I believe it's Andrea Flynn and David Graber wants up for re-election. Other news, report. Isn't it? I looked up online, it said that 2025 was the year for those two.
Yeah, that their seats are up, but that's
But
not.
I don't think Dave Graber's running for reelection.
Yes.
Oh,
running for
I looked up who his seats were up. I couldn't find reference then to who else.
It's Andrea Flynn and
It's uncontested.
yeah, it's
It is
uncontested.
uncontested, yeah,
Oh,
but it's not Dave Graber.
But Dave Graber is not running.
oh, it's interesting. So it's someone else from,
Yes,
Vito Win on the
it's Steve in the ballot.
Okay, thank you. An update on planning board, just checking out the last few times. I was just thinking there was about 20 different matters up for the last session, and 16 of them were returning. It just drew some questions for me. I was just curious how often that was the case. So looking at it, about 25% of items passed or actually passed through had been there for 3 or 4 months. 60% of the items were, as I said, were returning. So had at least 2 meetings over the last 3 months. One other piece I hadn't brought up before, but it's being that it presented to us, and it's not officially one of my committees, but was the Irvington 250. It's a celebration for the semi-centennial, which I've been practicing how to say for some time. The celebration for the anniversary of the 250th years since the revolution. And so we've been meeting regularly. I believe they're having their first sort of event, which is to participate in the Memorial Day parade. There's going to be some sort of banner, if I'm not mistaken. Well, there should be events coming up for the course of next year with some coordinating events by the end, hopefully in the following summer of 2026. I think the Lombardos and Octagon House are planning to be involved. They have some written things throughout the year, and some larger events probably towards the end, but we'll present to you as we develop them. And the last bit, I'm just an embarrassing point. I participated in scheduled would be the right word, into participating in an event up in Boston. It turns out I was a history teacher and I have nerdy history friends like myself. And one thing led to the next. I ended up joining a Minutemen militia, and I marched to Concord, Northbridge for 13 miles dressed in full regalia.
Oh,
Yeah, carrying a 20-pound musket.
it's a half marathon.
There are many pictures. It's quite something.
Can we screen share?
I'm happy to share it. So it turned out my friends bought a house with the original tavern where the Bedford militia met before they marched to Concord. So yeah,
One thing on the
Yeah.
other, and I'm carrying a musket 13 miles across.
a genuinely true story that I still can't quite believe, although the scars.
Usually that involves a lot of drinking, but I don't think so in this case.
No, it was a lot of. Although actually, it turns out so they had traditional breakfast every year for the last God knows how many years they've been doing this. It's like Yes, there's usually some sort of ale and bush, corn bush. It's quite disgusting, all of it.
Wow, you're a reenactor.
I didn't mean to be, but now I am.
Well, it sounds like fun.
It was great. It was kind of amazing. It was sort of inspiring for what could be done up in the Boston area. They're obviously just really into this. And I think 100,000 people swarmed on this tiny town of Concord. It was like a wall of people as we walked through it. I've never seen anything like it. It was quite something.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. I will show photos.
Thank you.
Okay, so as I'm sure you've noticed, the flags have been erected on Main Street from our good folks at the DPW. They participated in Truck Day at the Irvington Library. I saw pictures on social media of everyone touching the trucks.
Such a good day.
Yep, the military banners also went up. New street signs were ordered. And various other, I think the biggest is the stormwater management, catch basin cleaning, completing that on a schedule, because we are getting into thunderstorm and rain season. I'm attending the fire department meeting on Thursday night. I'll have an update. Fire department, then Arlene, did you want me to announce committee stuff or you want to do it?
What committee, Juneteenth?
Yeah.
That's, yeah, I can do it. So I don't want to.
All right, well, stay tuned for Pride event.
Thank you.
From the library, they had their annual truck day. They had more than 200 people attend. That's one of the great Irvington things. I love taking my son to that when he was younger. And they, thank you to the Irvington Police Department, the Irvington Volunteer Ambulance Corps, the Irvington Fire Department, and Irvington DPD for bringing trucks over, and obviously the whole library staff for helping out. Such a great event, and the library provides great events like that all the time. They have events coming up with helping kids do college applications and things like that. So check it, make sure you're on the mailing list for the library. Also, I never think to make reports during this, but I'm the Irvington representative to the TPC, which is the committee that's hopefully advising New York State DOT on how they're doing a project to reimagine Route 9 from all the way from the bridge and down through the river towns into Hastings. So there's people from Sleepy Hollow, Tarrytown, Irvington, Dobbsbury, and Hastings on the committee. Larry also serves on the committee, and we have one community member. And an important thing is happening, so I wanted to take time. I mean, if I gave you updates each month of the boringness of the meetings, I think you'd throw me out. But
I would actually love to hear that, but not maybe here.
Yeah, but the really important thing I want to get out there is that on Wednesday, June 4th, is a meeting at 6 o'clock at Mercy University at the Rotunda Mercy Hall. And that's going to be an opportunity, the next opportunity, and one of the last opportunities for the public to come out and give their opinions. And it's pretty clear that the village, is able through this process to make certain requests to the DOT, but they don't have to listen to us. And also, to be honest, there's so many different opinions as to what people want on Broadway. There is really not an Irvington position, right? The best we could do is as an elected official and as the village administrator is to think in terms of like what our departments would have to do in terms of, especially in terms of like DPW and things like that, depending on what happens with the changes. But this is the opportunity for people to come speak, because I promise you that when you see it, there'll be people complaining from all sides of the issue on this. There are going to be people that saying there's not enough of this, and other people are going to be saying, no, there's too much of this, and there's going to be everything. So if you want to feel like you want to be heard, this is an opportunity to go see what the plan is, because this is there's been 3 of these. Well, sometimes there was more than one in a cycle, but this is the 3rd cycle of these, is the best way to put it. And I believe it's the last one, right, isn't it?
Should be, yes.
Yeah, unless something happens, it's gonna be the last one. So this is your last chance, and I honestly believe that anyone, we were just talking in another context, but it's hard to get people engaged on things. When people see what's going to be done, there are gonna be some people that are gonna be happy, don't get me wrong, but there are gonna be people with very strong feelings and again, coming from different sides, because it's not gonna be perfectly what everybody wants. And I think that before people say, why didn't anyone consult me? This has been going on now. The first one was over a year ago, and I just think that it's really important to spread the word. June 4th, 6 o'clock, Mercy University and Mercy Hall in the Rotunda, and to come and look at the DOT's proposals and in your opinion. And I can't stress that enough.
So I wanna just remind one further thing on the Bulldog, the Arts and Food Festival is also just to encourage any, community groups that wanna participate can also participate, and we will help, sort of set them up along, Main Street. So, and one of the groups that's gonna participate is Commemorate, so it's gonna dovetail into, just talking about the sixth annual Juneteenth celebration, which is, which is a village event, but, in collaboration with Commemorate and the Juneteenth Committee, which is a village committee. And this year, very exciting because there's going to be, there are two events, and one of them, the first event is going to be June 5th at 6 p.m. in the library. And it's, a film, a documentary that was sponsored by Commemorate through grant funding. And it's called The Hidden Cost of Progress, Urban Renewal in Ossining. And the film is gonna be screened, and then, the director and historian that worked on it are gonna be there for a panel discussion, and some of the people who were in the film. So that is also, in conjunction with the library. So it's a nice partnership between the library, Commemorate and the Juneteenth Committee. Then the second event is Wednesday, June 18th at 7 p.m. and it's a collaboration with the Irvington Theater. And it is a concert. The theme of the concert is Joy is Resistance, and there's going to be a drumline ice cold experience. There's going to be drumming. There are going to be some local sixth graders that are going to be singing. And then there's a chorus. It's called the Resistance Revival Chorus from New York City, which is a group of about 40 women and non-binary people who formed during COVID and during all of the like sort of unrest. But really the theme is to sing about joy, resistance. And so those are the two events for Juneteenth. I also just want to say one thing about it. I think it's important that Juneteenth, actually, the committee gets a grant from Arts Westchester. So we write a grant proposal, and we got $3,000 from Arts Westchester. And also the second piece is that we've written a grant proposal to get money from Westchester County, which is coming. So a large part of this is paid for by grant funding, which is great. And the village is supporting a piece of it, but again, in collaboration with, which we always envision, right, with the library and the theater. So it's exciting that it's developing how we wanted it to develop.
Thank you. Village Administrator?
No report tonight. Even if I did have one, it probably wouldn't top the militia.
I don't think anything's gonna top that. Clerk Treasurer's report.
We're continuing to work on the capital budget. So in response to the vehicle questions, we've broken it out by department, the list of vehicles in each department, and asked the department heads to give a description of the vehicles and what they're used for, and the current state of the vehicles that they're requesting to be replaced. So once that's all gathered, then I can distribute that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay. Public comment. Anybody online? It's all right. Then I will.